Mock Draft Monday, y'all. Kind of got backtracked today a little bit. Got off our mock draft game because, what was it today? What happened? Inauguration? That kind of happened. A national championship? That happened. Oh, we hired our head coach. Yo. Woo. Man, it's so fun to watch Lions fans melting away on Twitter. They are absolutely dying over this. They hate it. We love it. Of course, we love it. Ben Johnson, officially the new head coach of the Bears. Most likely Dennis Allen. So we're going to create this mock draft today around those parameters. I've been working on this one. A couple of things I need to tweak a little bit here or there. But as we go through all these mock drafts, I tweak it over and over again. And I'm liking where we're headed with these. I hope Ryan Poles is kind of in that same direction. We'll see. So one of the biggest things that I've noticed so far is a lot of Bears fans with the idea of Ben Johnson. They really want to take a running back in the first round. I don't hate it, but I do hate it. I don't want Ashton Genty. I'll tell you that much. I've done several things on that. I don't think he's the best running back in this class. That guy right there on your screen, right here, if you don't know who he is, you need to look into who he is. You need to figure it out real quick because he's the best running back in this class. Now, a couple years ago, the Lions traded down from 6 to 12 in their pursuit of drafting a running back, and I support that ideal. If you trade back and pick up some more draft capital, especially when there's a lot of value in the later, second, third round, I support that. So we're going to do that today. We're going to trade out of number 10. We're going to move back to number 18. And then there's two players that could be interchangeable. However this board falls, however they need to pick them. One could be drafted at 18. The other one could be drafted at 39. And it depends on which board you're looking at of where they could go. I think they're both able to be drafted in the first round, but we're going to take them 18 and 39 to be able to have our running back and our first other pick, our trenches pick, and go from there. So anyways, let's get into this. Number one, the salary cap hell. I've shown this before. One significant thing changed since the last time we created this graphic. See how I said 81 million here before? Let me show you updated. And it's nothing to panic over, but also before I change the screen, look how it says we have 34 players active on the roster right there. Okay? Go to the next screen. Boop. All right, now it's down to 69. It dropped. What happened? Why'd we lose so much salary cap? Well, we signed a lot of those future reserve contracts, and they've got all those listed about 840,000, and there's 10 of them, okay? And they haven't carried the full salary cap over. So this is the part of the season where I want you guys to pay attention to what I said last year and follow along with it. It's going to be hard to track right now. I'm going to get my full spreadsheet out. I'm going to follow everything. But right now is not the time to panic about the salary cap. Just know we have right around 70 million-ish. And then when things level out, when we get rid of some players, when we send them to the practice squad, it will level out. But right now they show we have about 69 million. That's very different than the 81 million we had. I get that. But we do have 10 more players on the roster, future reserve contracts. It is what it is. They're going to sort themselves out. Some of those will trim down. They'll go to the practice squad. It'll sort itself out. So then over here, you have your salary cap held team still, the New Orleans Saints right there at the very bottom of it. We'll see what they do to try to sort all that out, though. All right, let's jump right into this. So I am going to recut Ryan Bates. Last time I took that away, but I just think it makes too much sense, especially if you're going to sign someone like Matt Pryor back, and Ryan Bates is the same value right there for him. Do you want to keep Bates or you want to keep Matt Pryor? Basically, you're going to pay Matt Pryor with Ryan Bates' salary, and we save all $4 million of that cap space right there if we cut him before the 14th, before the new league year. So cut him, save $4 million, away we go. I like it. There should be no dispute on it. Now, the other one, Gerald Everett. I just don't know if Ryan Poles will. It's a weak class for tight ends. Well, a weak free agency class, and then really past the first 3 or 4, it's not a strong draft class either for tight ends. So we're going to go ahead and keep Gerald Everett. I don't love it, but I think Ben Johnson will want to see what he can do. All right, so Coleman Shelton, we're going to sign his backup around $5 million. Tevin Jenkins, we're going to re-sign about $13 million. I know. It's just, again, weak class. You got to take what is most important. We have 6 empty slots there, and unless we sign these 3, we're going to have a really hard time re-signing anybody. I know some people want to go with Mekhi Becton. His advanced metrics aren't nearly as good as Tevin Jenkins. Matt Pryor even looks better than Mekhi Becton in many ways. They're roughly the same size guy, too. And we're going to sign Bill Murray to a earning restricted free agent. We're going to run through these kind of quick, but these are the decisions I made for this one, and I think this makes the most sense. Coleman Shelton, Tevin Jenkins, and Matt Pryor weren't the issue, but we didn't have deep depth. So we're going to find starters to go over these guys, and we're going to find some depth here as well. And this is a good draft to find that depth at left guard. All right, moving on. Running back. We need to fill that running back hole. We already alluded to that. I already gave a spoiler away for this video. Receivers, tight end. We need a couple receivers. We actually can go with 5. So we're going to re-sign Colin Johnson. He'll maybe end up on the practice squad as well. We'll see. But he could be on that 5th spot. And then for defensive line, we got several holes to fill here. Linebacker, we probably need to get in the. We got Amen Agbamiga. We could re-sign. I think we go with a new option here. Jalen Jones, restricted free agent, where he's going to match his offer wherever he goes, and then away we go. So here's our draft spots. 9. It's actually 39. I screwed up there in 72. This is an old one. All right. So for the beginning, in free agency, Tim Patrick is having a little resurgence. For those who don't remember, 2022. Let me move me out of the way so you can see. 2022 and 2023 seasons, he was out. 22, he had an ACL tear, comes back, and then 2023, during training camp, he has an Achilles tear. So the dude just hit on some rough luck and had a first year back with the Lions, and that's why I'm doing this one. This is my Ben Johnson draft. He's 6'4", 212 pounds. He was a 2017 draft year from the Ravens. And that doesn't seem right, does it? Doesn't it? I got to check on that. Well, lo and behold, I checked, and it's right. He was an undrafted free agent. I didn't think Tim Patrick was. He signed the big contract with the Broncos a couple years ago, but had those 2 injuries, and so he's trying to have a comeback with the Lions. He's a free agent now. He worked with Ben Johnson, so I've over the cap has him at 5.65. We're going to sign him on a 2-year, $5.5 million. As you remember before, I had Josh Palmer. Kind of interchangeable 1 and 2. They're very similar receivers. Tim Patrick with a lot of upside. If he can come back, you can see before he got hurt a couple of 750-yard seasons. So he would be the wide receiver 3, and I think it's a good value. And he's worked with Ben Johnson before, so it's nice to have. Other one that's worked with Ben Johnson, Kevin Zeitler, and I really like the idea of this the more I mull it over. Over the cap has him at $8.9 million, $9 million a year. He's 35 years old, though, so we're going to get him on a 2-year, $8 million contract, and linemen are lasting longer in the league, so we'll see. But I like bringing him over. And maybe if we bring over, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Starts with an H. The Lions offensive line coach is being interviewed by the Seahawks by several teams to be a potential offensive coordinator candidate. And I think that's probably the best path for the Bears to move, is to hire one of the best offensive line coaches to be the offensive coordinator, because we know Ben Johnson is going to be doing the play calling anyways. So that's the biggest area of focus we need. We bring Kevin Zeitler over, and that helps with our offensive line. So I like that move. Luke Farrell, I brought him up before as a really good blocking tight end, so he'd be our tight end 3. And then Trent Brown, I brought him up before, being a solid backup, just a really good career, but getting older as well. He's going to be 32 years old. We signed him to a 1-year prove-it deal, $5.5 million. And then this one comes from the Dennis Allen connection. Chase Young having a little bit of a down year. Over the cap says he'll make around $10 million. I think he'll make a little bit more. We're going to sign him to a 2-year, $11.5 million annual value, $23 million overall total contract. See if we can revitalize him a little bit with Dennis Allen, bringing him. He used to play with Montez Sweat as well. There's a fun connection there. So we're bringing Chase Young in at 2-year, $23 million. So there's our free agent class. So don't panic about the bottom line here because of what I said about salary cap. There is going to be some trimmings, and it will sort itself out, but we're right along the right path there. So $69 million from over here. $4 million cut Ryan Bates. I think there's some carryover from this year as well, so that would help. That would bring it back above the positive. Offensive line, wide receivers, and linebackers from our re-signings. After free agency, $33 million. The draft pick will be $12 million. We're going to be right in the right place. I promise there will be buffer cap once this is all done. So don't hold this firm to this. This is right in that period where things are going to be adjusting and flowing. I'm going to have to break out the spreadsheets and track every single player and track the salary cap and see where everything falls. But this is going to be really close and really accurate. So that's where we stand now. These are the spots that we need. We're going to need a defensive tackle. We're going to need a center, a running back, safety, defensive end, defensive tackle, and linebacker. So this is where we stand going into the draft. And as I said before, I'm going to go ahead and trade. So I showed you guys this on the other video, a fair trade value from trading down from 10. And for trading with the Seahawks, we'd have to swap our first rounder and a fifth rounder for their first rounder and their second rounder. But teams always pay to come up a little bit. And in this scenario, the tackles are going to be there, and the Seahawks need a tackle. This is the tackles that I showed from the last video. They have one good tackle. We have two good tackles right now. We need depth, I know, but this isn't the year for it. Next year in the first round, I have us taking a left tackle. They've got Charles Cross. That's it. So they need another tackle as well. So they're going to trade up to do that. They're going to, excuse me, we're going to give them 110. They're going to give us 118 and 250, and that's just a slight overpay. See, they're paying. That's a 402 value on the Rich Hill chart. That's a 369 value on the Rich Hill chart. So that's actually very accurate to what a trade-up would be. If it's a quarterback scenario like a Justin Fields where you're trading up, we would absolutely get another future pick, maybe a second rounder, maybe even a first, depending on how hard they wanted to trade up. But this isn't that type of scenario, so this is actually a really accurate trade scenario. So with round 1, pick 18, you guys know I've talked highly about Princely Umanmielen, an equally as good run defender as he is a pass blocker or as a getting pressure. 255 pounds, very quick, 6'4", and he's versatile, and he got great burst and speed. Go watch him on tape. I love Princely Umanmielen, and he would be a great option for the Bears. Now, he could happen here at 18, or he could happen at 39, depending on how things fall. I don't see him lasting until 39, but here's the big highlight of my video this time. It's going to be Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina, who I have as my number 1 running back in this year's class. I have him above Ashton Gentry. You don't have to agree with me, but the level of competition he's faced, the way he plays, is much better than Ashton Gentry to me. And he does have the outstanding contact balance as well. Ashton Gentry, I think, when he hits the NFL, is going to hit NFL holes, going to hit NFL defenders. He didn't face that many in the Mountain West Conference. When he hits a hole, he usually have a truck lane open because his line at Boise State was better than any other defensive line except for when he faced UNLV. UNLV shut him down to 3.7 yards per carry. That's very different than when he was facing San Jose State and Wyoming and all these other little schools that he was getting 5, 6, 7, 8 yards per carry because the truck lanes were freaking 8 feet wide. When he gets to the NFL, that's not going to happen. He does have good yards after contact, but not the same as Omarion Hampton. I'll show some video eventually on Omarion Hampton, but Omarion Hampton has really good contact balance. He can take a front-on hit harder too and break an actual tackle. You don't have to agree with me. You can like Ashton Gentry more, but this is going to be my running back of choice for the Bears. Maybe they have to take him in the first round, 18th overall. Maybe they can get him in the second round. I'll leave that for polls and company to decide, but these are going to be my 1-2 pick. Omarion Hampton, Princely Umanmielen. The Bears have their running back, 1-2 punch combo to go along with DeAndre Swift, and Ben Johnson has his freaking running back room to be able to have some power and play like he did with Monty and Gibbs. This would be a lot of fun to watch. Leave that up there. You can look, pause it if you want, and see the scouting report strengths on him, but really, really strong player. His yards after contact, you see over here, 4.35. Breakaway yards are huge. I mean, he's just a beast of a running back, and I would love to have Omarion Hampton in the Bears' backfield. All right, a lot of these will be the same. Some will change. I like Tyleik Williams a lot, playing in the national championship game tonight, winning the national championship tonight. Tyleik Williams would be an awesome, awesome option for the Bears in the middle of the defensive line. 327 pounds. He's on Bruce Fieldman's freak list. Very athletic and really strong against the run as well. So he would help shore up our defensive line. He's becoming one of my main priorities for this draft. Some have him going late first round. That could happen. But if he falls to the second round, we're taking him here. All right, with the extra pick we picked up, you guys know I like Nick Amanwari. And with with Jaquan Brisker's status and, where things are going to land there, we do need some depth. He would come in and start, and we would have to sort the best out. Dennis Allen is a defensive back specialist. He's worked with the Lions too, but he would be able to put players where they need to go. But I love having Nick Amanwari. He's a can't miss in this draft for me. He's one of the best ones. All right, round 372. Sometimes I've drafted him later, but if we really want a center for the future, we're going to have to take him at least in the third round. Maybe some of them will even be gone by here. There's only a couple really good options. Sherrod Wilson is my favorite option. We take him in the third round. In the 5th round, now we're taking some backup guard help to be able to back up behind Tevin Jenkins. Luke Kandra, I think, is a little overlooked in this year's draft. Gave up 0 sacks this year. He gave up a couple sacks last year. He's got explosive first-step moves, and he's got a good base. So I like that. Good IQ, off the charts as well. 6'4", 323 pounds, so he's a good-sized guard as well. So I like the option of having Luke Kandra. Holland Pierce is someone I highlighted before. I'm liking him more and more and more. So with our 6th round pick, this is actually the pick from the Steelers for Justin Fields. We're going to take Holland Pierce. He has trimmed down. There's actually a highlight video of him on YouTube. If you just Google Holland Pierce's name, they made for him. He came into Rutgers at 420-something pounds at 6'8". They got him on a diet. They've got him eating lean. I mean, he's leaned up. He needs some more muscle on his base. He needs to get into an NFL weight room and build that muscle up and get his base down. And he's got to get some more bend. He doesn't get low enough at 6'8". So some of these shorter defensive ends can get under him with swim moves. But all the things that he has to work on are things that can be accomplished by continuing on the same path he's on now. He's a really good pass blocker, really good run blocker. And this year he's been getting out to the 2nd level a lot better than in other years. So I think this would be a really good option to bring in behind Braxton Jones, the same type of situation as Braxton Jones, where we picked him late and developed him in. I would really like to see Holland Pierce become a Chicago Bear. He's becoming one of my favorite options. We might have to pick him up in the 5th round instead, actually. Get Luke Kandra, a different guard later. 7th rounder, one of our 2 picks. We're getting Jackson Woodard. Talked about him quite a bit. Great linebacker. He's just a hits principle type of guy who hits. He's in on every play. He's great in coverage as well. He had multiple interceptions, 4 interceptions and 8 pass breakups this year, to go along with 4 sacks and overall 70 tackles. I don't have it on this screen, but he was top 25 in all of FBS in both defensive grade and run defensive grade, so he'd be a great option for the Bears. And then same one as before, Thor Griffith, I think is a great developmental defensive tackle to be able to have behind Tyleik Williams, behind to replace next year once Big Bill is gone. I don't see us re-signing Big Bill's contract. And Thor is just a beast of a man, but he needs more time to develop as well. So I like Thor Griffith. So this is probably my favorite draft I've put together so far. In the end, we traded down with our first rounders. So we had 18, 39, 41, and 50. And that, to me, is just a sweet spot to get some really good players. So the gold ones are the ones, or the orange ones were the ones we picked up in free agency. The white ones are the ones we picked up in the draft. And it ends up being a really solid draft and a really good offseason for the Bears. And I think it fits perfectly with what Ben Johnson would want to do. Here's our offensive line. You got Braxton Jones with Holland Pierce behind him. Tevin Jenkins with Luke Kandra behind him. He's still got Bill Murray, who's been developing as well. So I think that's a good option. Jared Wilson starting. We brought him in. So there's the one big change on our offensive line. Coleman Shelton backing up behind him. Really good option there. Kevin Zeitler is a big upgrade there over Matt Pryor, and Matt Pryor still on the team as well. You got Darnell Wright with Trent Brown behind him, and then these guys are just developmental guys who'll probably end up on the practice squad. So good options there on the offensive line. Running back room, you got DeAndre Swift and Omarion Hampton. I love that. Caleb Williams obviously under center. You got DJ Moore. You got Tim Patrick, Romo Dunze. I mean, really, this comes down to this. These 3 guys, the rest are ancillary, which is why I don't think we're going to re-sign Keenan Allen. You got DJ Moore. You got Romo Dunze, and you got Cole Kmet. Those are your big 3. Then you still have Colin Johnson. You still have 1 more year of Tyler Scott. Actually, 2 more years of Tyler Scott. But you got Tyler Scott. Luke Farrell's a good run blocking one. Maybe we can revitalize Gerald Everett as well. We'll see what can happen there. On the defensive line, you got Montez Sweat, and you still have Chase Young, his former teammate. You got Princely Uman-Mielen. You're still developing Austin Booker. I like this a lot. You got Jervon Dexter and Tyleik Williams with Big Bill and DeMarcus Walker behind him that can kick out as well, too. So there's some good options there. These 3 are the developmental ones that I don't think those 2 are going to pan out, but Thor Griffith would be at the start of his career. On the linebacker nickelback room, everything stays the same except we drafted Jackson Woodard. And then Cody Simon's one that I keep taking as an undrafted free agent. He's going to be my top choice to try to get us in undrafted free agency right when the draft ends. And then in the secondary, biggest move there, I'm going to take Terrell Smith and make him the starter. I'm going to put Tyreek as the backup. And then I'm going to have Nick Amanwari as the starter there. Jaquan Brisker as his backup as well. So, man, I like this draft. I like this one a lot. Let me know what you guys think, though. If this is one that fits the Bears' needs, you like taking a running back that early? Do you guys really love Ashton Jeanty that much? Because you shouldn't. You should look into Omarion Hampton. All right, with that, appreciate you guys tuning in. Mock Draft Monday. We accomplished it. So many other big things happened today. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for being a part of this community. With that, Dub Bears and Bear Down.